What's up, champs? In this video, I'm going to show you how to use portion control for fat loss. Now, this same process could be used for building muscle as well, but once you learn it, you'll be able to simplify the process when it comes to nutrition, and so that way you can make things easier on yourself, because I know like nutrition could be a hard topic for people to wrap their mind around. And so in this video, I'm gonna break it down to you in a simple form and so that it makes sense to you. And also be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any videos that I drop in the future. Let's get to the action. Now, first off, guys, one of the biggest things that most people don't realize when it comes to portion control, before you start thinking about portion control, we have to understand how much food we need to eat on a daily basis to drop body fat, if that's our goal, or if you want to build muscle. We got to know how many daily calories we need to consume to either drop body fat or gain mass. If we don't get that part of it down pat, we won't know how much portions we actually need for each of our meals. And that's one of the places that a lot of people mess up at. They don't really know how much they need to eat, and so therefore the portion amounts that they normally eat are either too big or they're too small and they feel like they're starving, and that ain't good for nobody. And so nail down your calorie intake first. I put out a couple of different videos on calorie intake and macros and all that kind of stuff. I'll put the links down in the description below this video, but you got to understand that part of it first. And so when you start to map out the things I'm getting ready to share with you and show you, like all the different tools I tend to use, you'll know how to use them the right way because you have your calorie intake dialed in. All right, so now that we have our daily calorie intake dialed in, now we're moving into how many meals are we going to eat over the course of a day. I know some trainers out there, they'll tell you, hey, you need to eat 5, 6, 7 meals a day. Some trainers will say, hey, you need to eat 1 meal a day, do the OMAD diet. But the truth is, we have to eat the amount of meals that works the best for each of us. And that's gonna be different based on our lifestyle, based on our appetite, based on, you know, just our food preferences, the whole nine. And so figure out how many meals that are gonna work the best for you. Like myself, I normally eat like 3 big meals, and I'll have 1 or 2 protein shakes, maybe a protein bar in there, and that's it. So I like to eat big meals so I'm satisfied for longer periods of time and not having to think about eating all day. Another person, you know, if let's say you have more time in the day, you can, you know, prioritize eating 5, 6, 7 small meals all day. I don't have that kind of time. And so there's nothing wrong with that. That's just not my thing. I'd rather eat bigger, more satisfying meals so I can sustain myself longer. But at the end of the day, you gotta know what works the best for you, right? And like I said earlier, once you understand that daily calorie intake, you gotta divide that number by the amount of meals you're gonna eat over the course of a day. That's a simple way to do it, all right? You don't have to do it to the T like that, but that's a simple way to do it. So if you're eating 2,000 calories a day, divided by 4, if you're gonna eat 4 meals a day, that's 500 calories each meal. All right, that's a simple way to do it. Once you start to get, you know, a little bit more experience with meal prepping and, you know, chopping up your calories and things like that, you know, dividing up your calories throughout the day with each meal, you can start to say, okay, well, this first meal might be 400 calories, then the next meal is gonna be a snack, so I'm gonna make that one, you know, 100 calories because it's gonna be a protein shake with water. You see what I'm saying? You see what I mean? And so you can get a little bit more detail with it as you get a little bit more experience. And once you divide up how many meals you're gonna eat over the course of a day, now you know how much portions you need to eat for each meal based on the calorie intake. All right, and so now that we have that squared away, obviously you gotta know your macros, your proteins, your carbs and fats, but they don't have to be so spot on. You don't even have to be a professional when it comes to, you know, macros to at least start dropping some body fat or start gaining mass. Like that, you don't have to be super dialed in with your macros unless you're trying to be a bodybuilder, you're trying to get sub 10% body fat or something like that. And so you just gotta have a foundation on how this stuff works. Now what I'm getting ready to show you is the tools that I use and the things that I pay attention to, and so that we can make this stuff simple. So one of the first cooking tools that I tend to use is the small measuring cup. And I use this for things like when I'm cooking liquid egg whites, when I'm cooking rice, jasmine rice, basmati rice, or something like that. And so that way I can measure it out in ounces. Now, there's also something else that I'm going to show you where you can measure egg whites or your rice out in ounces, but this is a tool I tend to use. Pretty simple. You know, you just pour your egg whites in here, pour your rice in there, and so that way you know how much you're actually eating. And so when you go on an app like MyFitnessPal and you say, hey, I'm eating 8 ounces of egg whites, it's gonna add up to right around like 25 grams of protein. And so now you have an idea on how much protein you're eating, but you've measured it out already. And so that way, when you measure it out and you keep track of these things like this, that's how we get predictable and consistent results. That way, you're not, you know, losing weight one week and then the next week you're gaining weight. You're like, oh, how did I gain weight? But that won't happen if you're consistently tracking and you're consistently measuring out your food. What we track, that's what we can track and manage, okay? And so this is one of the first things I use, the small measuring cup. There's also a big one, like if you're gonna do meal prepping, you're gonna prep a lot of it, you know, you use a bigger measuring cup. Now the second thing you can use for measuring out your food and just portion control is these little spoons. These are measuring spoons. If I zoom it in right here, you'll notice how it has like a teaspoon, right? What is this one right here? 1 teaspoon. And so normally when I'm cooking my vegetables, I saute my vegetables. And to make sure that I'm eating the right amount of healthy fats, like I saute my vegetables with olive oil. And so I'll put 1 to 2 tablespoons right here, using this little tablespoon right here, inside my vegetables when I'm sauteing it. And so that way I know I'm not overeating on fats. And then the last thing I use for portion control is this electronic food scale. This little baby right here was a game changer for me when I started doing bodybuilding competitions, because I was able to just really get spot on with how much I'm eating every single meal, not miss a beat. Because like I said earlier, guys, like if you're gonna step on stage and be like a bodybuilder, you don't have any room for error. Like you gotta be shredded, or else you're gonna be up against all this other competition and they're gonna be like blowing you out the water. But it's a habit that I took from bodybuilding that still works to this day if I'm looking for predictable results. If I want to have a certain look going to the beach for my birthday or something like that, or getting ready for a photo shoot, or you know, a promotional campaign or something, I'm gonna be super spot on. You know, I don't want to play around. I want to make sure that I'm gonna get the results I'm looking for, and I'm not just putting in the time and effort, not getting the results I want. All right, and so just like that measuring cup, this scale right here measures things in ounces and grams. And what I tend to do is I'll use it in ounces, okay? I'll use it in ounces. And so basically how this works, you can find these little bad boys at, you know, Target. Maybe you can get them at Walmart. I'm pretty sure you can get them on Amazon as well. But what you want to do is you want to turn it on. If you get one like this one, you want to turn it on, and then you want to put the plate or the bowl, whatever you're going to measure the food in, like whatever you're going to put the food in, you want to put the plate or the bowl on the measuring scale first, and then zero it out, all right? Because once you put the plate or the bowl on the electronic food scale, it's going to show a certain amount of weight. It's going to show how much that bowl or plate weighs. We want to zero it out. So we want to put it back to zero again. And so that way, when we put the food in there, it's not also accounting for the bowl or the plate. All right, hope that makes sense. And then after you've zeroed it out with the bowl or the plate on there, that's when you put the food inside of the bowl or the plate. And so that way you're getting the true amount of, you know, protein or whatever kind of food you're going to put in that bowl or plate. And so if you put in, you know, 7 ounces of chicken inside that bowl, and you want to make sure that it's 7 ounces of chicken, put the bowl on the measuring scale first, zero it out, and so that way it's showing 0. And then as you put the chicken inside that bowl, it's going to equate up to 7 ounces. Now if it's more, then you know, if you're trying to eat 7 ounces of chicken, you need to take some of it off, right? And so these are the 3 things that I use to be able to, you know, make sure that my portions are spot on and dialed in. Because I'm telling you, once you understand this process, you do it for a good like 3 to 5 weeks, you really won't even have to measure anymore, unless you're trying to be like a bodybuilder or something, or, you know, a fitness model or something like that. But just for the average guy that just wants to be lean, be toned, be healthy, you do this process for a good 3 to 5 weeks. And as you start to see results, keep doing what's working, baby. Don't switch it up. Keep doing the things that are working. And so At some point, you'll be able to just look at the amount of food that you're eating, and you'll be able to say, okay, that's the amount I need to eat, especially once you've hit your goals, because then you just want to consistently eat that amount of food just to maintain. And so with that being said, guys, hope you found the video helpful. If you did, be sure to drop me a like, comment anything that you want to share below, any topics you want me to talk about, and then lastly, subscribe to the channel. Let's get to the action.